Hello, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Camera Quick Cuts, a side series of Behind the Camera where I focus more on the streamers, the content creators, just to keep to the core values that was Behind the Camera with Indie Games right from the very beginning. Today, my guest is JoePriceSings. Joe, amazing to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks, mate. Great to be here.
No, I'd love to have you. Love to have you, honestly. So yeah, let's just get right into it, man. So you are a musician. You work on cruise ships, which is an incredible thing to do and to say you can do.
Yeah.
And now you've also dipped your toe into the waters of streaming live on TikTok. So take us back to the very beginning, man. Like, and how long have you been playing music, and what got you into playing music?
So it would have been initially my granddad played the piano. He showed my dad how to play the piano, and then my dad showed me. But none of us read music, so it was all a case of playing by ear, playing songs that we enjoy. And it actually started when I was 4 years old. Dad would sit. Dad would sit. There's like six children in the family. There's me, my brother and sister, and then our cousins. There are three kids as well. And with all of us, he would hold our finger and push it down on the notes of Heart and Soul. So we go. And then he'd hold our finger and he'd press it. And then mum would have to listen to us practicing, getting it wrong for hours on end. But out of the six kids in the family, I was the only one who took to it.
Mm.
Yeah, I loved it. And I would sit and I'd practice. And then I remember he came in one morning when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and he said, I haven't taught you that. How are you playing that? And I said, oh, I heard it on the telly. And he was like, my boy. And yeah, he was over the moon. And yeah, I kind of ran with it, but I never sat and practiced in the way that people do. I didn't have the patience. I didn't have the capability of the self discipline of sitting and doing it. And as well as that, parents weren't all that pushy. And I'd sit and I'd occasionally play when I wanted to, and then I'd leave it for months on end or a year or two. And it wasn't until I was about 16, or actually I was 13 when I got into musical theatre and jazz hands, and I tried to get involved in as many shows and local societies as possible. And when I was in college, when I was 16, I studied musical theatre for 2 years, and it was at that point that I combined the singing with the piano, and I wanted to be able to accompany myself with the songs that we were learning in class or for the shows that we were doing. And so I tried a little bit harder to get better at what I did. And yeah, still not great, but yeah, I was able to make a career out of it, and here I am a few years later, living the dream, literally.
Yeah, of course. Like that's incredible. So like you just picked it up and it just kind of came naturally to you, and obviously whenever it came to you doing musical theater, you were able to just be like, "Oh, well, I can still do this. I've, never forgot how to do it." Like, would you say that's a
Yeah,
case of you having like perfect pitch? Like you can just hear something and you can just kind of go from there, or is it a little bit more
yeah.
complicated and in depth than that?
I think it's a little bit more in depth, but I think to a certain extent that's the best way to describe it. I'm able to hear a song. So, for instance, literally this morning, whilst waiting to get, I was all excited to get this done. I was sat at the piano, and I woke up this morning with the Elton John song, "Something About the Way You Look Tonight," in my head.
Hmm.
But it's not a song that I play, and it's not a song that I really know. And it took me about 10 minutes to sit down, work out how to play it, and now it's part of my repertoire. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah, and when people ask me when I go live on TikTok, it's lovely when people go, "Oh, I'm starting the piano, or I play the piano. How do you play by ear? What do you do?" The most simple way that I can explain it is that if I know a song well enough, I can work out how it should sound
Yeah.
when it's put onto the piano. And so, for instance, "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star," that everyone knows it's "Twinkle Twinkle Little," and then what's that next note? You know in your ear that it's not that one or that one.
Hmm.
It's "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star," and then it's just a case of finding what the note next note is, and it's that to a professional level.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's incredible. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's how my brain works anyway.
yeah. And especially obviously when it comes to like you playing the songs and picking it up, like would it be a matter of particular chord progressions as well, and but kind of like taking what you've just said about Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars, putting it into chord progressions and like kind of other little rhythmic bits that just kind
Yes.
of like it might not necessarily be how the original song was recorded or anything like that, but it still works. You can still fit it around because well, you have that kind of wherewithal being a musician.
Of Yeah, it's so handy. I'm not restricted in any way to the sheet music. Where if you have spent hours on end learning how to read the sheet music and practicing, I know people who've got degrees and they've spent years really mastering their trade, and I just kind of sit down and get away with it. But I am able to do it, and I've got freedom with that. So, for instance, there's a song that from the Wizard of Oz that the Scarecrow sings. If I only had a brain, and I'm able to kind of take that and change it into a bit more of a jazzy version. I could while away the hour, conferring with a flower, consulting with the rain. And it's just a case of knowing what sounds right in the moment,
Yeah.
and adding those little bits in. Or I do like a version of Ed Sheeran "Shape of You," and I make it like a jazz soul-y kind of
Mm,
thing.
brilliant.
Yeah, loads of different bits, but it's great, and especially when working away, and being able to take requests from guests, having that ability to take a song, learn it within 10, 15 minutes, and then be able to perform it for them the next night. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a proper bonus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And so then talk to us about this then. So obviously you have in the last sort of year, 18 months, you have started working on cruise ships, being like a sort of musician.
Yeah.
How does that come about? Like how did you get into that position? And also tell us like what a sort of normal day when you're at sea, what that's like for you.
Okay, so it has been within the last 18 months, but it wasn't my first time. So after I did musical theatre at college, I went off and I did a year at Butlins, if you know Butlins, the
Hmm.
holiday park. I didn't do kind of the daytime activities with the kids. I was hired as a vocalist, and so I was involved in all of the evening performances. Did a year and a half there. Then I moved to Egypt, lived in Egypt for 18 months.
Wow.
And whilst I was in Egypt, we met someone at the Four Seasons who knew someone who was able to get us on the ships, and he's still my agent today. So we made contact with him. Flew home 2 weeks later. We were out on a P&O ship, traveling and singing and doing things there. Did that for 4 years, and in 2017, 18, we opened a performing arts school, and ran that until COVID unfortunately shut us down.
Mm.
And then I took a massive break from it. So from that 2017 moment, after getting off the ships, I didn't really do much as far as the piano was concerned or singing was concerned. And you're right, it was about a year ago, just to the day actually.
Oh
So
wow.
in 2024, in January, my old man passed away,
I'm so
and
sorry.
he was only 66, and he worked his whole life and just to like support our family. And I was working in a job that I absolutely hated. It was a sales job. It was just so boring. And I thought, if I only get to 66 and I'm working this job, wasting the talent that I've got, then I'm going to regret it. And so I thought, nah, stuff it. Went into work, ended the job, and yeah, contacted my agent and said, Gary, I'm back. What have you got for me? And I was working in a duo before with my ex. And he said, I haven't got that available. And also, it's just you. How's the piano? And I was like, I can get away with it. And he said, send me a video of what you've got. And I said, okay. And he said, I'll send it out. So I spent 6 hours recording to get 5 minutes worth of good footage.
Wow.
And I sent it over to him, and he came back to me a couple of weeks later and he said, yeah, I've got a contract for you. We can get you on Brittany Ferries. And I went, ah, that's not kind of what I was hoping for. And then he called me back a few hours later and he said, nah, forget that. He said, I've just had a cancellation. He said, if you're ready, I'm going to get you on there. Are you free to go on to P&O's biggest, newest ship,
Oh
Arvia,
wow.
for a 12-week contract in 10 days' time? The first night I was in the bar, ready to play the piano, I was absolutely shaking. And yeah, it was terrible. But I spent the whole 10 days practicing before getting on the ship. The first 3 to 4 weeks didn't get off in any of the ports, just stayed on practicing. And then a year later, I'm here. And it's an amazing life. It really is. It comes with its pros and cons and its sacrifices. I'm away from family,
Hmm.
friends, my girlfriend, my dog, parties, weddings, and all that kind of stuff. But I don't work all that hard when I'm on there. There are people who work 9-month contracts with half a day off a
Yeah.
month. And I work 2 hours a night singing songs and doing what I love. So I can't complain all that much. So day to day wise, fortunately for me, it's not the case for all musicians on board, but I have a resident guest entertainer status. So I have free reign of like all passenger areas and all crew areas, and I don't have any kind of safety responsibilities, so I don't have to get involved in the drill. I have to do a compulsory once a month sit down, sign in. This is where you'd come in case of an emergency.
Yeah.
You're free to go type thing. But yeah, other than that, I've got all the time to myself, so I'm able to get off in the daytimes, explore the beautiful ports. This year alone, I've been to South America, I've been to the Caribbean, just got back from Norway, and in a couple of weeks' time, I'm flying out to Alaska to go and do some
Wow.
cruising around there. So yeah, it's much better than the sales job I was doing, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it sounds like you've like completely landed on your feet with that, because your job is simply your job of just performing for a couple of
Yeah.
hours, minus all like the little tiny, very very minor bits. But like that's incredible. Like, I mean, that surely that's something you could do forever, right? Like,
Oh yeah, definitely. There's so I've got a girlfriend, and she worked on the ships. I actually met her last year on that
hmm,
12-week contract that I did, and so she understands the concept of being away. And we communicate all the time. The Wi-Fi is very good on the ships, so we're able to call each other, FaceTime. I spend so much time with her when I'm home. It's not like long distance was during the war. Like
yeah.
it's not. I can go on to Deliveroo and send her a bunch of flowers, or she's a bit down. I'm going to send her some chocolate. It's just those little things. I can literally see her face all the time if I want to. On one of the nights off, for instance, we watched a film at the same time.
Oh, nice.
So I had the film on my telly, she had the film on her telly, and we FaceTimed at the same time and pressed play at exactly the same time. So we were having a little date night on the other side of
Yeah.
the world. So yeah, there are moments like that that are tough, but we get through. And other than that, I've got no complaints. It's such a good job. I'm very very lucky to be here, and to think I didn't do it for 7 years. I'm annoyed at myself for that. I have no regrets really. Like there are things that I would potentially change, but I don't really regret. But that is maybe one thing where I go, oh, why didn't I just carry on doing it? Because it is so good. And you're right, I could easily do it forever. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you are able to make it work in that is incredible. You get to see all these different places in the world, and you get to do what you love and do what you have like such an amazing talent for. And
Yeah.
taking that talent, you have recently gone into streaming live on TikTok. And would you just call that your practice for when you're between the ships, between contracts, or like what was the inspiration to start going live on TikTok?
Well, I think initially I invested quite heavily. So when I got off the contract that went around South America and the Caribbean, I was watching another fantastic piano singer. Her name's Carolina, and she does TikTok every night from 7 o'clock. She's absolutely great. But I was watching her, and I was really kind of being influenced and encouraged to do it. And so I thought, yeah, why not? So I spent a bit of money on getting all of the transformers for the sound, and I had the
Hmm.
in-ears, and I had the mixer next to me, and I tried to do a schedule where I was going live regularly, and I really enjoyed it. It was good fun. People were so kind. I was getting great feedback from people, and it was just a great way to share what I do in a moment of practice, as you say. For me, it
Yeah.
was a case of keeping up with the piano and singing and stuff. But currently, it's slightly different. So I've actually come away from all of the gadgets and gear. I'm just sat with my phone recording me at the piano. And the reason for that is because I was using an app that had all of my music on, but that app is now no longer functioning. I got
Oh,
a notification a couple of months ago to say that this app is no longer going to have any updates, therefore it will become redundant. Please transfer your music somewhere else. But you can't do a bulk upload from one app to a different app.
yeah.
And so I'm having to individually input every song of the 600 plus that I've got onto a separate app. So now, at the moment, all of my lives are going from A to Z of all of the songs that I've got, and just listening to my entire set list. But I'm taking requests at the same time. We're
Yeah.
having fun. People come in. Can you do Bohemian Rhapsody? Can you do Pink Pony Club and all that kind of stuff? So, yes, of course, we'll do that. So yeah, we're having fun with it. It's great. And it is. It's just nice and relaxed. There's no. I know there are people who work very hard. This is their full-time job, doing regular TikToks. But for me, it's just good fun. I get to do it while I'm away from the ships, and I'm only home for a short amount of time. I think I've only got a couple of weeks left. So yeah, do come and pop into one of the lives if you see me going live, and yeah, it'd be great to have you in.
Yeah, absolutely. And your lives are one of the lives I can just sit and just chill for the longest time, just
Nice.
listen to good music, and it's like you say, it's a good vibe. Just people are having fun, and like one thing I will say as well, like you were the one of the very few people who started going live and had incredible sound. That's a very rare thing for when people start going live. There's always
Uh,
audio difficulties because a lot of the times people don't really realize how important the sound is. And
yeah.
I still struggle to this day. Like I've been doing this for 2 years, I still struggle to this day with it. But yeah, like, and obviously you said you had all the gadgets, you've moved along, but even still, the fact you've able to kind of been able to keep the sort of same structure going, just like I'm just doing this in between, but we'll still play some music. And do you find that you can, even the requests that you get from TikTok, that you can implement them into your sets on the cruise ships as well?
Oh, definitely. In actual fact, I've got such a it's only a small community because I've only been going live again for the last week or so, like a
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks maybe. And so the people who would follow me before I was away for the last 3 months, aren't necessarily watching TikTok as often, or they're not finding time to come into the stream. But I was live yesterday for about 4 hours, going all through songs beginning with D and E, just transferring stuff over. And I took requests from people, and I added about 5 or 6 songs that I didn't even know that I knew, and put them into my. So Everybody Hurts REM, that was a request from yesterday. Put that straight in because I was saying, do you know any songs beginning with E? While we're on E, let's do it.
Yeah.
Everywhere from Fleetwood Mac, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. But instead of course doing a big Eye of the Tiger sound, where I'm working on cruise ships, sometimes I'll be in the cocktail bar, and so we
Mm-hmm.
can't sit and bash out Eye of the Tiger as loud as possible. So as we did kind of rising up back on the street. Took my time, took my chances. Go the distance, when back from my feet. Just in there with a will to survive. Like a nice chilled
I
back
love that. Love that.
version,
That's
yeah.
incredible.
And
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 like,
it was a song I hadn't even thought about doing, and it was only thanks to going live that. And whilst doing this, because this would be so boring and monotonous if I was just sat doing it on my own. So yeah, it's great. So that was a great request. Yeah.
yeah, and then like you said you got about 600 songs like in your set list. That's sort of to round it up. Like whenever you're then in whatever bar or wherever lounge you're assigned to for that particular evening, how do you decide on your set list? Is it just a matter of like do you like say pick maybe 30 songs or something, or do you just kind of be like I'm going to go with what I feel like kind of thing, just because you know and have all that in your repertoire?
Yeah, it's definitely the latter. So having not done it for as long as I did, that 7 year gap, and then going back to it for that 12-week contract, it was almost a case of play alphabetically until someone says, "Do these all start with A?" And then take requests. And then once you've got to the end, go back again and start again. But I very quickly learned, especially doing it on my own. So where I was in a duo before, I was able to bounce off someone else. That person would sing the song, and then I'd sing a song, then we'd sing in harmony. And just holding a room on your own is it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it takes some getting used to. But I maybe stupidly didn't ever put any set lists together unless I was doing a show in the theatre or in one of the bars where it was a proper show on the big stage. So most of the time, if I'm sat in the cocktail lounges or in the Grand Atrium, it will be a case of playing whatever I feel would be right for the room,
Yeah.
and then gauging the reaction from those people. It depends who I'm playing for. So about maybe 100 of the excuse me, 100 of the songs that I've got within my repertoire are very British. Like The Man Who Can't Be Moved, Keen, Oasis,
Yeah.
Madness. When I'm on the American ships, it's not to say they won't know the songs, but I can't play as many of them one after the other
Yeah.
because they'll go, I'm not familiar with this. And people like what they know and they know what they like. You can't please all the people all of the time, and you do have to read the room, work out what's working well. The Americans, and the good thing about the Americans, the great thing about the Americans, great people, they tip and they love
Mm.
a tip. And yeah, don't get me wrong. On the British ships, I do get tips as well. But the Americans, it's yeah, you play to the people who are putting money on the piano.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, absolutely. And see, whenever you are on the ships, like, is there a difference between, like, say, what bar and whether you're in the atrium or the cocktail lounge, where there's a difference between whether people are there and they're watching you play and listening versus it being like background ambient music kind of thing. Because you do
Yes,
get that, of course, with musicians. But like, would you find that there's a difference for yourself?
I think so. So they recently started to, I say recently, within the last kind of 5 years, they started to put the cocktail pianists to one side
Mm-hmm.
because they were very much background music and such a waste of talent. Because the cocktail pianists who can sit and play the classical pieces, or they can play a classical version of a pop song, it's lovely to listen to. But I don't want to put anyone down, but you can get great Spotify playlists that offer the same
Yeah,
thing.
of course.
Whereas a live singer, with especially with the freedom I've got with the way that I play, there's never going to be a version of what I do that you can find elsewhere. And probably if you hear me sing that same song twice, it will be a different version because I always change it up. And so yeah, occasionally, yeah, there are some times where I have to read the room and I go, it's pre-dinner. It's like 7:30, for instance, that I do a set up in the crow's nest on P&O. They've got this beautiful room, which is like a horseshoe shape, windows right the way round that you can look out to sea or look out at the Norwegian fjords. And they are not looking for a sing along. They're not looking for the big power ballads. Whereas maybe later in the evening, when they're having a few drinks and they're in and around. So yeah, I have to work the set list to fit the time of day as well and the crowd that I've got in. So yeah, there's a lot more that goes into it than just sitting and playing the songs. Yeah,
Of course, yeah. So then, just to sort of like put it to a comparison, whenever you are home, you sometimes do local gigs as well, which you have one today and you
yeah.
had one on Friday. So, what would the difference be between then? Like, is this like a sort of you're hired to perform for a function for a couple of hours, and just is it singing, piano? What's the difference between what you do on the cruises versus the local gigs?
Great question. So for the local gigs, I don't often take the keyboard. It's very, very rare. And so I did a care home on Friday. They love a little sing song with the old Joanna. They have a great time. So I took the keyboard with me. And funnily enough, today I'm taking it as well. This is a venue that I wouldn't normally take it to. Usually, what I do is I put backing tracks on and I'd sing along to the track.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's got the full effect of the band with the guitar and the drums and everything else that comes with it. Today, I'm going to try something a little bit different by taking the keyboard as well and play along because it's a lunchtime set and I've not done a lunchtime set at this venue. It might be quite empty, therefore we can just sit and play some nice songs in the
Mm.
background. Or if they're up for having an afternoon drink on a Sunday, then we'll put the backing tracks on and we'll play along with it.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, again, it depends on the size of the room. It depends on the demographic of the age of the people and what they're into. That there's a lot of social clubs that I play where the average age is 70, and so it's a whole evening of all of the classic 60s, 70s songs that they want to get up and two step to and have a nice time. And yeah, you've really got to work whichever room or crowd or venue that you're playing, and you don't know what you're walking into until you're there. So I never really set aside a set list unless, for instance, I'm playing a gig on New Year's Eve. I'll have like a final set, like a
Yeah.
big song finish type thing. But yeah, other than that, I'll take requests and just see what's working. If they're dancing to that, they'll probably. So whilst I'm singing a song, I'm performing. You wouldn't know it, but in my head, I'm thinking, right, if I sing this one next, that will lead me onto that one, and then this one and that one. So yeah,
It's
it's all
incredible.
happening. It doesn't look like it. Often it's a blank face, but yeah, I am talking. I promise.
That's incredible. Just the ability to just improvise and just be like based on this. And obviously that's something that comes with experience. And on that note, Joe, massive luck with your gig this afternoon as
Thank
well.
you.
Like, I mean, if you are streaming it live, I would encourage everybody listening to go and check that out who is watching currently live. And honestly, thank you so much for your time. So glad we finally got able to arrange this, to have this conversation, and just sort of let all the listeners and viewers today get to know you just a little bit better, because I know like in a lot of the spaces that we would watch streams, there's a lot of people who do know you do know yourself and Noel, and it's just been an absolute pleasure to sort of get that in-depth insight into what you do in your music.
Thank you, man. It's been great to be a part of it. I really appreciate it. It's been
No,
good.
of course. And everybody who is watching currently, make sure you do give Joe Price Sings a follow on TikTok. Check out his lives. Absolute incredible stuff. That does bring us to the end of this episode of Behind the Camera Quick Cuts. My guest today has been Joe Price Sings. Joe, do you have any final words for the viewers and listeners?
If you've got a dream, follow it.
Fantastic. Fantastic stuff. Joe, once again, thank you so much for your time. Good luck with your gig later on, and I will catch you again soon, my friend.
Great. Been a pleasure. Thank you guys. Take care. All the best. Cheers,
Thank you
Andy.
now. Cheers.